Hello, everybody. I hope you're quite well today. It was a hectic day, I must say, on my side. But anyway, to get straight to it, it's me again, Bokang. We're going to have another very interesting sort of conversation. If it's not enough, if it's nice, we do it twice. But in our case, we do it 4 times. This is episode number 4, Attributes of the Board Members. Particularly today, we are talking about an interesting audit, one of our colleagues that I'm quite sure that you'll want to hear. Today, we are speaking to Sizwe Mr. Nyanyisho. I hope he's here. Good evening, good day, good wherever you are, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. And how are you? Good evening
I'm
to you
doing
and
great.
evening to everyone that is watching us today.
I'm doing great. I've realized that lately now there's too many spectacles when it gets to the auditors, my man. I don't know. Do you how is it? Do you need extra specs just to see fraud or internal irregularities? Is it too little when you look at it with your pure eyes?
I think we do so that you can easily identify the deficiencies in the system of internal control and any fraud
But
associated with
anyway,
that.
anyway, Norman, thank you, sir. I thought we wanted to have a chat with you. Every time when we call somebody here to our platform, we want to find some way of empowering each other professionally, in fact, to reach higher potential. So we learn from people that are experienced, people like that have been around, people that had seen some few things around to share with ourselves and to share with our audiences, making sure that, we are sharing one thing forever in a way, right? So welcome, sit back, relax, and then let's talk about yourself before we even get anywhere. Who sees you? Where do you come from? Where did you do your school? When did you think that you're going to be an auditor? Where are you an auditor? Tell us, my man, the next few minutes.
Yes, no, Sizwe is a rural boy from the Eastern Cape, deep down the Eastern Cape. There's a small place there called Sikisiki. And
Are you
when I
serious,
was
my man? The Siki is those photos when you are on TV and then you see some cows at the beach.
yes,
So is that where
exactly.
you're from? I don't know what you want if you call it a small town. Which cow will want to not go to the beach? Are you saying the beach? Go on, sorry
Yes,
to
but
disturb you.
it is still a small stand because it's not yet developed to its own potential. So I think it's where I come from. And growing up, obviously, I was doing maths and physics. I never dreamt of being an internal auditor until such
Oh,
time that
okay.
I was convinced by my friends to say this is a direction. And then without thinking twice, and then I took the opportunity to go into
Well,
the
let me
terrain
ask
of
you one
audit.
question. Let me ask you one question. Was it a male friend or female friend? And what did the
No,
friend say? I
actually,
wanna hear what convinces somebody to stop being whatever they wanted to be auditors.
no, actually, it was a male friend. You see, those group of friends, when you start discussing your future and someone makes a lot of sense, and then you think that, no, this is the way to go.
This is the way to go. No, I hear you, sir. I hear you. Quite a diplomat. I think our audiences are quite interested to hear. Now you are in Lusikisiki, you did medicine science. What did you want to be when you were doing your medicine science? Before you had this angel from Amadluzi, our internal auditors coming to you.
No, when I was still growing up, right, I had ambitions of becoming a mechanical engineer.
Uh-huh.
Hence, I took the route of the maths and physics up until matric, by the way. And when I went to the university, and then it's only then that I changed towards the internal audit side.
You know what? Being an auditor, we always suspect that you're not giving me all the information. But anyway, I'm not gonna go deep into it to tell me. You can't just hear one person after you went through matric and all of a sudden you become an internal auditor. But anyway, we are here. Welcome to the audit club, my man. We're very interested to hear from you. Then after matric, what did you do?
Now, after matric, obviously, I went to the Institution of Higher Learning. At the time, it was called the Transkei Technical. Yes, I'm exposing my
Okay.
age now. And I've done my national diploma, and then I went to the Pretoria Technical at the time, is TUT now, and then I
Okay.
did my BTech there. And
Okay.
then from there, I went into the work environment. I started as an intern at Minerals and Energy at the time. from minerals and energy, and then I went to social development in Tshwane, and from social development I went to parliament. I spent a lot of time in parliament, I think plus minus 11 years. And from parliament, I came this side of the university. But while I was still in parliament, I thought that I must further enhance my studies. I did my master's, and I also did my CIA. I think it's when I got qualified at the CIA, which gave me a lot of kind of mileage in terms of my career.
Definitely. You know, what you're highlighting is very important. You know, there's one of the questions I'm going to ask you later, the importance of certification on people that we must trust. I think particularly now that we're going to talk about board members, I want to hear from you how you feel that certification that we get professional recognition, including the other things like academic education, how impactful is it to the board member? Is it adding some good value? Is it giving them that tool that we need to be able to be served as the stakeholders of that? All right, then you're working on parliament. I'm sure now that is where your age has been hidden, my man. You can see working with politicians is a job on its own. And I wonder if one of your dreams were like order. But anyway, let me not ask you too many things. Thank you, sir, for letting us know how you came from and what you ended up coming. And what we're going to do now, in fact, to tell the truth, is that I want us to go a bit into this topic of ours about internal audit. As internal auditors, I want us to talk about our perspective regarding the attributes of the independent board of directors. Right? I think you know for a fact, being an auditor for such a long time, you know our service to the board is quite clear. We provide reasonable assurance. We try to give them some insight and guide them to the future. And as our mission always will say. So the first questions, in fact, build it on top of what you were saying on the question I asked earlier about the academics, about the characters, about those sort of things. In your view, what is the ideal board of director?
Yes, I think in my view, the ideal board of director is someone who does not necessarily only have qualifications, but someone who can understand the business, the strategy of the organization they are to serve. I think it's someone who is able to link the internal environment of an organization to the broad external environment, and probably assist management, not always bashing, but come up with a certain way of assisting for the areas of improvement. And then where there are improvement areas, must recognize that. But where there's a need for support, and then you must provide that support diligently. And I think someone who's very much open, someone who's very much ethical, and someone who's pay a lot to detail. I think it's very much important as a member of the board. And obviously someone who adds value on the work that you do within that kind of an organization, because you don't want just to add numbers. You must be able to redirect if there's a need to redirect, and upscale if there's a need to upscale. But ultimately, your value as a board member, I think it must be seen through actions, not necessarily through talking.
Oh, all right. I think for the first question, my man, you're already going under the belt, trying to hit to say, don't show us through action, not through talking. I can see that parliamentarians and politicians, particularly EFF, were rubbing closer to you, my man. It's a big deal for us as internal auditors, and we want to hear from you. You know what? I highlight proper things when you say ethical. Don't tell us stories, do action. Let's see the output of what you want to do. Be a person that is trusted by other people, right? And I think, you know what, I want you to dive a bit, in fact, talking to your particular area, in fact, about the importance of knowledge that we create, particularly knowledge that is created by auditors for auditors, people that understand the environment. You know what, there's a lot of knowledge in internal audit. I'm going to say there's piles and piles. But I'm sure more than half of that is created by academics, people that haven't faced a CRO face-to-face, that don't understand politics of the environment. You did indicate to say if you're a board member, you need to be able to understand and create influence. And, you know, in our environment, you need to have relationships that are effective to be able to create that influence, right? I think maybe if you don't agree with that, you must just say, hey, Mbogang, stop it. I don't agree with that.
No, actually, I agree with you.
I'm the guest host. I think if they don't come again, I'm like, I'm free, I'm done.
Yes.
But tell me more, Maman. What is the importance of us developing some sort of knowledge? Because earlier you did indicate that you did your masters. Those are things that you don't naturally see a normal internal auditor on the street there having those sort of credentials. They don't see, maybe sometimes they don't see the value of that. How do you see the importance of having this knowledge regarding internal audit work for internal auditors, prepared and researched by internal auditors?
Yes, I think if you can just go back to, I think the motto that was at some stage used by the Institute of Internal Auditors, this one of sharing of knowledge. And it's something that perhaps recognizes that knowledge must not necessarily sit in your own head. And I think you must be in a position to codify knowledge and share knowledge with future generations, even if I'm no longer here. As Sizwe, I think the work that I've done, it must talk to how do I perceive the future in terms of the profession itself. And I guess what I'm saying is that as internal auditors, we are comfortable to just go for your undergraduate degree. And we do not want to go into the space where through research, we generate knowledge and that knowledge gets preserved. And the preservation thereof is something that we're going to assist the future generation. But not only the knowledge that you know, but even things that you do not know. Because I think research is about recovering and identifying new areas that the profession itself can improve. For example, I think, as you know, I'm currently busy with my PhD, and the PhD that I'm doing the issues of the strategic alignment of the internal audit function, in particular.
Now I understand where the bald head come from. You're trying to hide those just from that. That is great. I always feel proud to be able to discuss and talk with somebody who's actually creating knowledge. You know what? Because things change. I mean, even if the language can evolve, I'm sure knowledge needs to evolve, and we need people that are part of that, actively doing that. While the others are busy implementing, we need those sort of people. Tell us about your research, man.
I think currently the research that I'm doing is a research that seeks to develop the framework for strategic alignment of internal audit functions in the public sector. And I've explored the literature and I couldn't find one. And I must indicate that I was inspired by the strategic alignment of the IT functions, because the IT functions can demonstrate as to how are they aligned to the strategies of their organization. But if you look at in internal auditing, I've engaged literature. I could not find any framework that assists the internal audit functions to align. And I also could not find a lot of literature that speak to the issues of the strategic alignment of internal audit function. Now I'm talking beyond the network, but as to whether we know if there is any kind of the attributes that ought to be in place for the internal audit function for it to claim alignment and measure alignment to the strategic direction of the organization. So I hope with the framework that I'm going to develop, then we can be able to measure that. So hence I'm saying that it's an area that, in my view, I think that is not only going to assist the public sector, it's going to assist, for example, the profession itself. It's also going to assist even the private sector, by the way, because as I indicated, I could not find any alignment framework for the internal audit functions.
Oh, that's awesome. I think you say it right. We are auditors. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So if we can have frameworks that we can measure our alignment and be able to exhibit and prove our worth to our stakeholders, that's where we actually do the value add that you spoke about, where we are at. You know what? I don't want to go deep into academics and all of those sort of things. I'm still trying to keep my hair, my man. Already your evidence is showing to say, hey, you know what? I think let's get into a very interesting topic now. I think it's quite opportune to say once a year, we as internal auditors, and you yourself as a member of our Institute of Internal Auditors, we have an opportunity to choose our board members. And I don't think, personally, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think the requirements should be different to the ones that we have mentioned about and be able to be effective, influence change, and be the change that we want to see at a particular point. And on top of that, we want those characters of ethics, of knowledge, of certifications, and all of those sort of things, right? But I want to ask you directly now, why do you think it's very important for each and every one internal auditor who's our member to take that serious and make sure that their voice are being heard? What is the benefit of us as a stakeholder to have the privilege to choose our own board members?
Yes, firstly, I think the institute itself is an institute of the members, first and foremost, and the board members are given the responsibility to manage it on behalf of the members, which is called fiduciary responsibilities that they have. So now, my thinking is that whatever direction that the institute take is a direction that must represent the interest of its members, but not only represent the interests of its members, but also try to identify areas where perhaps we may need to introduce some certain changes. As you know, for example, South Africa as a country is still in a transition. We have a history that we are trying to refocus the energies towards a certain direction. So I believe that any institution, it has an obligation also to identify where there's a need for it to transform. But not only that, I think I said this is the Institute of Internal Auditors. And internal auditors themselves are different from any other kind of a profession. But I do know that in a number of professions, for example, you have the dominance of the members, for example, not necessarily belonging to that profession fully in terms of their trade. I take, for example, myself. I'm also the member of ISACA, and I know nothing about the IT audit, and I think it's important then that I give chance to those that they know IT audit.
Exactly.
So hence I'm saying that I think this one of the attributes that perhaps one can think about. But importantly, I think it's also this transformative agenda that must begin to reposition the CIA candidate and the CIA as an individual to be recognized, particularly through our own organization where we serve in. It really breaks my heart.
Wait a moment. I think audience, you are hearing, I did tell you earlier to say now we're bringing one of the big guys, and you can see he has been being recognized, this sort of man. He's talking the right thing. Obviously, he's right. We are looking for transformation and towards the future. I think each and every environment needs to transform. Wherever you are, you need to keep up with the time, because if you don't change, you go down. But he has highlighted some important things to say, you know what, if you are not going to be involved and you're not going to be able to pick other people that can be able to assist and be able to recognize, even if you don't want to be in the board yourself, recognize somebody that you think that this person, I can give them their role, I can give them my vote or some sort of a comfort to say, go on and lead us. And I think he mentioned some important thing. I want to go back into transformation now. You know what, our profession in audit, I think for the years that you have mentioned, I'm sure you remember, since we started doing standards where they were still 100 to 400, I think I'm not going to go deep into that and expose you much more. So it shows that there has been some transformation continuously in our profession. I think we have positive things to mention as the country professionals, but we also have negative things that we mentioned. There was a dent not long time ago when we get to our rating, global recognition, that it has completely fallen down. And it looks like the reputation of an internal auditor is not getting the necessary recognition that it deserves. Earlier, before I stopped you from rolling, you mentioned something about CIA being recognized by our own professions and being elevated to a certain extent. What do you think is the role of the board in that particular area? I'm interested.
No, I think the role of the board is to understand, for example, the difference between the CIA and the CA. And I'm raising that because I think where I was coming is that if you see, for example, the CAE position when they advertised, you have the CIA taking an upper hand, and the CIA is becoming secondary. I'm raising that because these are the two kind of certifications, and external audit is not internal audit, and internal audit is not external audit. And these are not really one function. These are the two complementary kind of a function. So now, a trained CIA understand the mechanics of internal audit more than a trained CA. In as far as a trained CA understand the mechanics of financial accounting more than a trained CIA. Yeah. And hence, in the space of the CIA, for example, you can't have a CIA that is being deployed to lead the external audit team, which must give opinion on the financial statements. But it's easy for the internal audit fraternity to overtake the CIAs and take the CIAs to lead at times the CIAs. I'm raising that because
you are blowing it. You are blowing it. I'm hearing you are raising factual facts. But I want you to touch, because the same scenario you're talking about happens in audit committees. What do you think about that? What is the problem? What can our board do? Because you go to audit committees, most of the time you get internal audit being oversighted by external auditors, because part of the responsibilities of audit committees include oversight on financial discipline, if I may say that, which is also part of the role of internal auditors. But what is your view about that? Because in my view and little experience is that you'll find that the audit committee itself is dominated by chartered accountants, and they are the ones who decide what is worthy sort of a member that you need as a chief audit executive. So, they flock together. Because of that, somebody will pick somebody that they think that they know. You're a CIA, you masters, you understand the value of an internal auditor. That's why you will always choose an internal auditor. But it starts from the board. The person who chooses is the beholder. What do you feel about that? What should be done on that?
I think we must also take blame for that as a CIA that a CIA is, because we must not underestimate the influence of the CIA in defining the kind of the audit committee attributes that we want. In my audit committee, at any time, you'll have the balance in terms of the skill set, and that balance at any given time, it will include your internal audit, and it will include, for example, someone who has the know-how of the risk management. It will include someone who understands law. It will include someone who understands, who's a CA, who understands the financials and all that. So now I think it starts as to how to then begin to influence when we do these reviews of our charters. And how do we then begin to influence so that we have the audit committee that speaks not only to these areas that I've mentioned, but also to the mandate of the organization. So now I think, hence I'm saying that I think also to blame for that, because I think if you're closer as a CIA to management, they listen to you when you advise them in terms of the actual kind of a structure that you want to see in the audit committee.
I know. You know what? I think I had some few guests the last few weeks. They were playing. You just got there and started boxing, my man. You were talking to the facts that we need to take, and I want to tell the truth. Our audience, they know it, and even if they don't want to say it, they are thinking it. All the issues that you're talking about respecting ourselves and putting ourselves first. And I think we can't be passive as members and start complaining to say nothing is changing, but not doing anything on our own. But you know what? If I've realized that you're starting to roll in, and I don't have a lot of time, sir. I think you show that there must be time that I'm going to call you, and maybe I must ask the producer to get you, and together with those sort of other colleagues that we spoke of one day soon. And then I just want to let it happen. I want to see what's going to happen when all of you do meet here, because some of them have your spirit like that when it gets to the transformation that ought to happen. And you know what, audiences, we are going to have fun at that point. But you know what, let's go to the nitty-gritties now about our board. The board is coming soon, sir. I think it should be somewhere before the end of the year, as we usually do. And I think the last few years of internal audit has been very hard, particularly the other dent that was pushed by state capture, reports, and the sort of unwritten message to say internal auditors were not doing their work. And we need to really work on that. And we've mentioned some challenges that we know affect us as auditors, particularly about the composition of the audit committees that support us and the type of people that we put to be our CAEs to lead us into internal audit and its impact on that. And I think I also enjoyed the part that you talk about the certification and the importance of that in all matters and the ethical behavior and all of those sort of things. So the board is coming, sir. What do you think is the most important thing that needs to happen ASAP that you miraculously happen to be a member of the board? I know. Hi, you relax from it. You're no longer in parliament now, but from parliament to academic, I don't know which one is worse. Don't have the politicians, yeah.
No, I think the most important thing, Bokang, is what I already said. I think the CIAs, they ought to take what is rightfully theirs as far as leading audit functions are concerned. My immediate, if I can be a board member, is to really try to engage the organization so that they recognize that the CIA certification is not by the way certification, and any other certification, by the way, that we get from our institute, because those are the prime kind of certifications that give us recognition of competence. They give us recognition of professionalism. They give us really what one can term the rightful place in the decision making of our organizations. But if our businesses don't understand that, and then it means to say that it's our responsibility as an institute to ensure that we workshop them through engagements so that they can understand that this is equally one of the important designation or certification that we have that must be given recognition throughout all the sectors, both private and public.
Oh, no, I think audiences, you can see already, I'm tempted to ask him more questions, but I'm worried that as soon as I ask him one more question, the man is going to take the remainder of the 1 minute that I have. So you know what? Thank you very much, Mr. Caesar, for making time, sir, to spend some time with us and share the knowledge, particularly in our platform. I think audiences, you can tell if you have interest, you can subscribe and you can get that. Probably next time you'll be able to get even better hosts than myself. But we are happy, sir, welcome to our club. And I don't know, I'm going to ask you after this to say, don't lie, man. I know it was not just all of a sudden somebody who interested you. You saw somebody and said, you know what, Mama, I'm not doing engineering anymore. I'm going to audit. You tell me upside. I know that is a fact. But thank you very much. And thank you, audience, for having time. Please subscribe, put a notification, and hopefully next time we can be able to chat. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day further.